ANC Deputy President Paul Mashatile is going to be sworn in as a new Member of Parliament this afternoon. The ceremony paves the way for his appointment as the country's Deputy President. This follows the resignation of his predecessor, David Mabuza, this weekend. The ANC's second Deputy General Secretary, or should I say Secretary General, Marupini Ramakgopa, and National Executive Committee members, Sihle Zikalala and Pakstau, will also be sworn in. The National Assembly Speaker, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, will oversee the proceedings. Well, let's get some analysis now on the possible movements we are likely to see, and let's speak to political commentator Tebogo Khaas, who joins us on the line. Mr. Khaas, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with the rumblings around the Deputy President's position. I'm talking about David Mabuza now at Mahlamba-Ndlovu. What do you make of this situation? Is he, in a way, forcing the president's hand, given that we know there is this looming cabinet reshuffle? Can the president afford to take even longer with these movements now?
Yes, thanks, Polly. I don't think so. I don't think he's really forcing the president's hand. In fact, I think he's trying to make way for what is evidently going to be happening. The reality is that Paul Mashatile will be taking over his space, but because Paul Mashatile also seemed to have been rather impatient in my assessment, and having made such comments or overtures that he's done in the past, suggesting that he's ready to go in, has put some pressure on David himself. But I don't think he's been petulant. I don't think it is something out of the ordinary. I think he's just saying, look, I know this is inevitably going to happen, therefore let me make way to it. It might very well be that there doesn't seem to be any coherence or alignment with the president's thinking. So in spite of the fact that we are made to believe that they did sit and chat about it, it doesn't appear that there is alignment or synchronization in terms of when it should actually happen.
Yeah. Perhaps let me ask the question this way. If the president does not make his cabinet reshuffle before Thursday, how is that likely to portray him to members of the public? Because remember, coming out of the ANC conference, we have all been told the story of a much more galvanized president who has much more power and authority even inside the NEC, given that there are many of those who are backing him in there. So, does he delay this cabinet reshuffle and mount it after the SONA? Whichever way you look at it, surely,
yeah.
If he mounts it after the State of the Nation address, might that project him as weak?
Not at all, Tony. In my assessment, it's much ado about nothing whether the reshuffle happens before or after the SONA. I would much rather that when he does the reshuffle, it is a much more deeper reshuffle and much thorough and thought-through process than a rushed one just to try and meet expectations that this should happen before that. There is no clear guidelines or rules or hard and fast rules that this needs to happen before or after the SONA. I think what is more important, what should we be focusing on, is whether he make the right choices in terms of filling in those posts. And for me, he rather not rush, but make sure he does the right thing. Even if it's a week after the SONA, even if a couple of weeks after the SONA, it will still be okay, as long as it does the right thing. But just rushing it now, I think, would be rather inelegant.
I've got to say to you that, indeed, I have to be in alignment with you that it's about the quality of the team that he assembles. But some people will be saying, okay, just 4 MPs who are going to be sworn in today, does that mean that the president is merely going to fill in the gaps where there are vacancies, or is he going to mount a wide-scale cabinet reshuffle? Which one?
I would much rather prefer or gravitate towards the latter. He needs to make sure that it is deep. So in other words, even those people who may have made the list onto the NEC list to go to Siberia, as Parliament is being referred to, They must also be removed, especially those who stand in his way or who stood in his way. Here I'm talking about the likes of Nkosazana Zuma, Dlamini Zuma, and the tourism minister Sisulu, and other ministers and deputies who had been vocal in trying to get him removed, even prior to that, because you cannot have in your cabinet, in your team, people that are not loyal to you, or people that you cannot trust, or whose loyalty you cannot bank. So he needs to make sure that they go deep. And also they have not performed in any event. I mean, in all the portfolios that Sisulu has been through, there has been problems. With regards to Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, we know that COCTA has been a disaster, especially how she handled the COVID thing. Now we've got the impending or the mooted state of emergency, state of whatever you call, state of energy. We'd rather we have somebody, fresh hands, fresh thinking to make sure that they're sitting there. The kind of things that happened during the COVID shouldn't be repeated. Where we wouldn't even buy wooders or open toe shoes. So the likes of Minister of DTI, I know that he's not on the list, although the president has got the prerogative to still invite him on, but he needs to go. If you like the likes of Patel, Ibrahim Patel, they've demonstrated that they are just baggage, just counting numbers and not contributing anything meaningful.
Not mincing his words there. Tebogo Khaas, political commentator, thank you very much for your analysis of the situation.